Welcome along to the Onroad podcast and episode 7. Alongside me as usual is the wonderful Ant Lockyer. Welcome along, Ant.
Thank you. Hello.
Nice to have you back on and catching up on all things RC. We've got a bit of a packed show this evening. We've got some guests. Our last show where it was just you and I waffling. Tonight we've got other people to waffle with. And second on the show is going to be a good close friend of mine, Geraint Williams. He loves his RC. He does a lot of 8th scale, 12th scale buggy racing, a bit of 10th scale IC as well. So he's going to be on the show a little bit later. But first up is a man that is reputedly got very, very quick fingers. He's done a lot of racing in his time in many classes, and I've had the pleasure of sharing the recent Euros with him before the world went mad. Tony Wade, welcome to the show, Tony.
Hello, everyone. All right?
All right, Tony.
Nice to see you. Nice. So what's happening, Tone? I hear you took a little trip up to Royal Tamworth last weekend.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was all right. I've got this X-ray now, so I've been tinkering with that. I didn't the car actually was pretty good.
We're talking 12th scale here, aren't we? For those that don't know.
Scale, yeah. But I couldn't really do much of it. Tamworth's quite low grip. And I did have a few issues with it. It's like loads of steering and that, and I didn't realise until I got home I didn't put any caster on it, so that's why it was not very good. That's something I overlooked, like, without being out of practice and that, you see.
Yeah,
and that's the car was pre-built before when I got it, you see, if you know what I mean.
Because you got it off the barber, didn't you? Stu?
Yeah. Off of O-ring, yeah.
O-ring, Stu, the O-ring barber. Now, the reason why we call him the O-ring is because when he got the X-ray, he said, "Should we glue those O-rings on those on the inserts on the front cross beam, to stop the inserts coming out?" And he said, "I said, but what happens if you want to replace the cross beam?" And he said, "Well, I don't know." So he said, "Well, that's what we used to do on the Associated." I said, "Oh, you don't have to do that on the X-ray." But anyway, that's why we call him the O-ring. So you travelled up. It was a bit of a hike for you, wasn't it? It's a decent chomp.
Yeah, it was 3 hours because I live in Swansea, you see. But I got left up with Matthew Kebble, or Kemble, what his name is.
Matt Kemble.
Yeah.
So what you're just to not move on there, you sat in the car for 3 hours both ways, so 6 hours, and you didn't know his full name. That's what we're saying.
I didn't know how to pronounce the last. Yeah.
I love it, Tone. I love you, man. Matt Kemble, top man.
Yeah, he does GT. He did do GT12, but now he's gone to LMP as well. He's got the Eclipse 4. Done a lot better than me on the night, but yeah, it was quite strange because someone said to me, "Oh, have a look at this." So I had a look at their car, and I said, "Oh, you need some more caster on that." And then when I struggled all night with it, and it looked like I was banger racing, and everyone was like, "Oh, I thought he was meant to be good or something." And then when I sat in the car, I went, "Oh, it's got MB models set up on it. I didn't check the caster, did I?" Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that spoiled it for the night. But I know it now.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had much caster on that, being that it was running at MB models.
Well, I went from 84 degrees down to like 45, to get it to go around, and it was horrible.
Yeah. And so Tamworth was reasonably low grip. Mark Payne was there. I don't know if you've seen that, and he was speaking up on Facebook about the spool.
I did
and how his car didn't feel particularly nice offline. He actually gave me a call because I saw he was at Tamworth, and because I said suck it up, Buttercup,
Yeah.
and he posted how rude. So I gave him he gave me a call. We had a chat, and he's going to be trying the new Automatics gear diff, which looks interesting. Have you seen that, Ant?
No, I haven't. I'm interested to know about it because I didn't know that they'd made one.
Yeah, have you seen that, Tony?
Yeah, I saw it advertised on Facebook on their page.
Yeah. Because X-Ray was the first one to bring that to the table, I think, weren't they? With a 12 scale gear diff. Well, yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, probably had a go at some stage.
Yeah, I got one of them.
And I had a few of those, and they had a bit of an issue with the stub axle, didn't they? Having a bit of a bend and snap when you whacked a barrier with it, and of course they were a bit heavy as well. So hopefully,
doesn't the oil just fall out of them?
I didn't have it on the car long enough.
Okay. I mean, I might have made that up. I just remember hearing something about oil thicknesses.
Yeah, no, I mean, I ran it and yeah, I couldn't keep it off the barrier for long enough to not bend one, and and I think I actually remember seeing Hagberg break a couple. I think I saw him at the Euros, at what's the place? Limburg. That's it. Thank you, Ed. Crash into a barrier, and he lit it up with it planted into the barrier, and I just saw the gear diff just sort of light up with smoke and all sorts. Yeah. But he was saying that he feels that might be a good halfway house for him. So who knows? Were you running a spool, Tony?
Yeah, I always run one now.
Yeah. So what's been going on in the racing world for you?
Hang on, I want to ask Tony. So you always run one? Do you always run one, Stu?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Who's that to?
Either of you.
Tony?
Yeah, I think it's all right. Got used to it now.
Yeah.
You just got used to when you first start. Just don't actually nail it. You got to, wear it in for a minute and the grip and stuff.
Yeah. When Mark Payne wrote that there must be something better, and he was talking about banning it, I first, my gut reaction was, "Oh, don't be stupid! What are you talking about? It's bloody fast." But then I've sort of thought about it, and he has got a point, really, because when you go to Tamworth, and Tamworth has been low grip since coming back from the World's Gone Mad, running a spool there on a club night is no fun.
Yeah, but you don't have to do it.
But exactly, and you don't have to do it.
So I've got two things that I want to say. One, just because you don't like something doesn't mean you should ban it, and that's my problem with the whole, I don't like it, ban it, rules and regulations nonsense that we were talking about last week. And the other thing is that I really like the spool, and I think that it feels better in every situation. And when we was running at West Kent, my car was absolutely spot on from the second it went on the track. And the only difficulty I've had is hard starting on some tracks. Like the first minute is just edgy, but I had that anyway, on ETS carpet, for example, when Eastbourne was ETS. So for me, it's a massive improvement, and it might just be that I'm like a trigger happy chopper or whatever, and the cars come to me. But I don't think that banning them is the way to go.
No. Tony?
Well, I've always used when I first ever started racing, which was an oval. We didn't have diffs in them. It was just a spool, straight axle.
Yeah.
So and then you could tell different. Then I went to circuit racing, and we had these diffs. I'd never used one before. It did feel a lot slower, but then when we introduced the spool at LMP, I was like, whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it at MB. I mean, you wouldn't not want to run it, and it does make the car go faster. I think on club nights, again, as you say, and you don't have to run it. You do what you want, can't you? If it makes your racing experience more enjoyable running a diff, run a diff. It's no bother. But of
Mark
course,
Stiles ran one at a national, didn't he? Paul National. He ran the
Yeah.
diff and said, over the course of the 8 minutes, he thought that was the better option.
Yeah. Are you booked in for the GP, Tony?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, down in Eastbourne.
Yeah, something to do. See who turns up. I don't know how many people entered at the minute, but
35 are entered thereabouts at the moment, with another 25 spots entered. I see Ollie Payne has entered mod, so he'd be going around on his own at the moment, which is sad to see that there's only one entry there, but hopefully that changes.
So how many spots are there? Is there 100?
I think at the moment there's like 64 stock, 50 for mod, and there's 20 or 30 for GT12. So if it all filled up, there'd be a good number of people there, but it's not looking good at the moment. And all indoor racing at the moment seems to be a little lackluster when it comes to 12 scale, which is no surprise when not many people have been pushing it. So I think, but hopefully when it all gets a bit colder outside and people want to go racing and the GP kicks off, hopefully people might get a bit more enthused about it, mightn't they?
Get the flavour for it.
When the email came out for it, I was massively excited and instantly went to the diary to put it in that I was going to go to the GP at Eastbourne, and was like, yes, indoor this, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And I got to the diary and there was already something in it.
Yeah.
I'm going away. So I was a little bit upset, but it got me fired up. I was like, I'm going to go and do this. This is going to be it, back into it, etc. And unfortunately I was thwarted, but hopefully other people felt the same way, and perhaps another email out might boost a bit of the kind of reactiveness in people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to staying in the Ho Seasons caravan site.
So now I'm really gutted. I could have done that.
It's a glorified shed with the thinnest walls you've ever seen or been near. I mean, if you could it would definitely burn down within 3 or 4 seconds. I mean, it's literally
Brilliant.
cardboard. It is cardboard perched on a ledge in Eastbourne. So I'm looking forward to sharing sharing a room with young Nigel and Andrew Thompson. Hopefully he's going to make it, and a good couple of days of racing.
Excellent.
Yeah,
and see people we haven't seen for quite a while as well. That'd be quite nice,
Absolutely. I miss you, Tony. I can't wait to smell you.
No, you want to smell me?
Rob Jackson, he's booked in.
Yeah, he's coming.
That's exciting news. He was last seen sitting in his seat for 12 hours doing some sim racing. I just hope that boy has not been eating at the same extent that he's been driving, because you know what I mean. I mean, you could
make a mess, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, 12 hours in the seat eating buckets of KFC. I mean, that is a lot of chicken.
I love a bit of chicken.
I love a bit of chicken too. The other thing to say about Eastbourne is how good the carpet is and how well run the meetings are. That carpet from the Worlds, it was a great venue with a not fantastic surface. ETS was difficult to the point that I started running touring car there. Yeah. Which was fine. But yeah, they got the carpet from the Worlds, which is the best surface I've raced on. And yeah, it should be a great time.
We need another big venue like that again at some point.
Yeah.
An event like that. That was amazing.
Yeah, it definitely does need that, because it bolsters the nationals, it bolsters the clubs. But I mean, you look who came out of the woodwork. I mean, people like who hadn't been running. Craig Nutting springs to mind. Patrick Bandera. He hadn't been running. It makes people pull out their cars because they're going to go for a big event. And this is kind of what I was saying about the nationals feed the clubs, not the clubs feed the nationals, because people want big events and get excited about something and have a bit of a build up. And I think when you put a like the GT12 Worlds, that kicked GT12, so much so that you started driving more than one car there, but we're not going to go into that.
I drove 2 cars in that. Should we talk about this?
That's double entry.
Shall I explain what happened?
Yeah, I think it's important to get this out to the open for once and for all, Tony, because you have got quick fingers, but I'm not sure you've got that quicker fingers. Go on, tell us what happened.
Well, we lined up and on the straight for the start, and I can't remember if I was in front, but all the Mardave's team, we had all the same colour body shells.
Which is a genius idea when you think about it. But not when you're together. Not when you're all in the same heat.
No. So anyway, the only thing that was different on my car compared to the others, or we tried to make them look at different, was you put a different coloured rear wing on, I think it was. Anyway, so we started, went down to the end of the straight and round a corner or whatever, and I crashed and I came off. But I didn't realise because there was a big pile up. And this car that came out, I don't know if it was Stuart Barber's or someone else's anyway, and that car came out and I was driving it. I thought that was my car. And what a weird sensation that was. So I was driving it and I was going, well, and then I saw another car hit it from behind and it felt like the spur gear had gone on it or something. But I was 4th. I worked out I was 4th. I thought, well, I ain't stopping now. Right. So I didn't stop. And about 2 minutes into the race or something, the referee bloke goes, Tony Wade, if you think you're on the track, your car is in the pits. And there's Lee Owen holding my car upside down and it's going bananas. But it was really strange because it's never happened. If no one's ever experienced this before, right? I could feel what that car was doing because I thought I was driving that car, and I was saying to myself, "That car is absolutely rubbish." But you wouldn't have known. I just didn't know. To the world on YouTube, 2 cars.
Oh man. Have you ever steered 2 cars on a racetrack before, Ant?
Funnily enough, I haven't. No.
Can we have people message in to ask to say that they've actually done that?
If you've mistaken, there must be guys that have had a double white body shell, right?
No,
there's
I
2
ain't having it. There's
2 people. Yeah,
no one else has done this.
I mean, there needs to be. I mean, if you're listening to the podcast and you've experienced driving someone else's car instead of your own because you've had the same body shell, comment below. And Tony is running an AA meeting for it.
And if you haven't ever done it, hit the like button.
Yeah, exactly.
RC Anonymous.
Yeah, going to be hosting a meeting in the Eastbourne Arms on the Saturday night at GP, and I think that it would be good at the GP to have some sort of get together, like a couple of beers, or I don't know, make a pub somewhere, the location of like where all the drivers are going to be, and have a catch up and a beer off. That I think that would be a nice thing to do. I think that's Mark Payne, again wrote about with the indoor season going on about sort of along the lines of all be kind to each other. There is someone more shit than you, and there is someone better than you, but ultimately we're sharing the same passion, right? And I think it's hopefully we can get the GP off to a good start and kick on to the nationals in the new year.
Yep.
So Tony, you're doing a bit of F1, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to that MICC on the weekend.
Where's that being hosted?
It's at Telford.
Is it?
Yeah, it's is it an international hall or something, or leisure centre?
Gotcha.
I've never run Formula One indoors, so
That'll be an experience.
I'll be able to drive my own one, won't I? Not two of them.
Well, at least that'll be something. Well, listen, Tone, it's been great having you on the show and sharing in the experience of the Onroad podcast. Is there anyone we normally give everyone the opportunity to thank sponsors and all that kind of stuff? Anyone that you want to thank along the way that supported you over the years?
Yeah, well, I'll do Zen Racing, David, and that. They've helped me out since I was doing oval racing a long time ago. So yeah, shout to them. Shout to CMAC a lot as well over the years, because they've helped me out with the E3 and that. And I went to the Worlds with it and the Euros, and since it started, so everyone in the CMAC a lot. So thanks, and everyone else from this podcast. And people that I've met over the years, which has been great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an obituary, but you're not going anywhere. But no, listen, I think you made a really good point at the Euros, that I think there needs to be more, and we've said it. I think there needs to be more about the everyman in racing, and us three are the everyman in racing. Getting more airtime and on like RC Racing TV and different.
I want that a few times.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Remember the interview?
Yeah. I mean, just more publicity for people that are propping up the prize funds and the shows for the bigger drivers.
All I'll say is, us three are not like, well, A final people. But myself, I'm in the midfield all the time. If I hit a B final or a C final, I'm well happy with that. And even like in Euros, I think I got in the C final or something, and that was just like lucky. I thought, oh, what's going on there? So
yeah, but listen, it's been great having you on, Tony, and hopefully you'll come back and join us in an episode sometime soon.
I will do. Thank you very much.
Good man, Tony. Look after yourself, and we'll speak to you soon.
See you later. Ciao.
Cheers, Tony. So that was great to have Tony on the show. He'll be he's left us, and he's going to be off to do his F1 ready for the MICC. And how long have you known Tony for over the years?
I mean, from the beginning, as soon as I started doing 12 scale, really, which I can't even remember how long I've been doing RC for. Not very long, really, in the grand scheme of things. I'm trying to think. I think we talked about this on a previous podcast, but my first meeting was with a Tamiya Mini at West Kent. I don't know, probably only 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that's infectious to have around the pits, isn't he? He's he's a funny guy. He's great to have. He's a great to have around the track. Well, next on the show is a chap that I've known for many years, and really I met him. I met G, giving him a golf lesson. But we won't go into that because that was a horror show. But listen, we went for a curry one time, and he asked me what I'd been up to, and he got the full 9 yards of me RC racing. And the very next day, he came along to West Kent and tried out the club car, and the rest was history. So it's been a long haul with the fellow and RC racing. So welcome to the show, Geraint Williams. Welcome along, G.
Good evening.
Hello, G.
And how the hell are you?
I'm well, very well, mate. Yeah, it's been a very long time.
Absolutely.
What's been going on, G?
Well, I got over feeling suicidal yesterday after my buggy venture. Thanks for checking in on me yesterday, Wade, by the way. I've got over it. I'm okay. And if you didn't hear, I had a horrific experience.
Was this
so
I
hope the call, I've got to say, I hope the call isn't all going to be about my buggy experience of the weekend. Because it's going to be very short if it is, okay?
Was that carpet clash, G?
It was, yes.
Yeah, it can be unforgiving.
Harsh.
Yep. Yeah, we don't need to go into it.
Thanks.
But Stu wants to.
Oh,
I know.
I know.
You've got.
I know. It's the whole purpose. I know that.
I think the one thing.
Pick a man when he's down, right? Seriously, what the fuck? Can I swear on this?
Of course you can.
Okay, what the fuck?
I think the thing with buggy racing is that everyone is fucking good at it, man. I mean, that's the thing.
I know where this is going now.
No, everyone is good at it.
What that means, and you know where this is going. What that means is that all the other disciplines that I try to do, they're all shit in comparison. So let's cut to the chase. That's what he's saying. All right?
No, there is no.
Yes.
There is no underlying narrative here other than I think, and I spoke to Will Johnson, who is the creator of Will Speed. And he said, I think it's much easier for a buggy guy going to Onroad than it is to an Onroad guy going to buggy racing. Without doubt, the third dimension of buggy racing is really difficult. And not only, driving trying to hit apexes, but then having to go over bloody corner blocks, going over corner blocks and jumps and ramps with open wheels and not trying to hit other cars. It is truly brutal. And I think I was fortunate enough to do it as a kid. You'd never done buggy racing until we got the X-ray cars, which was on a spur, which was your idea, by the way.
You got selective memory.
That was your idea. We were going up to MB Models and you said, should we buy some buggies?
So we bought 3.
Yeah. One for you, one for me, and a spare. Seemed logical. So listen, let's glaze over the carpet clash experience of the weekend.
What do you want to know? Come on, let's get it out.
We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you about your 8th scale experience because I think that section needs some airtime.
So you want to know about the experience?
Yeah, what's your
brief journey through it?
What's your take on 8th scale? And before G goes into his experience.
Okay, so it is the one thing that I would love to do, given the time and the inclination to travel and the money, because there's no club racing, or there's no club racing near us, and it's basically nationals and practicing for nationals. And the outlay is prohibitive. Needing to have a pitman is prohibitive, and I know that everyone mucks in and helps out, and you'll get by. But it is the one thing, to me, it is like the pinnacle of RC motorsport. Massive revving engines, noise, big cars, just everything about it just screams, this is amazing. But unfortunately, out of reach for me.
What a load of old shit.
That's so predictable. Can I just I want to hear that again. The pinnacle of RC racing. Absolute music to my ears.
Fucking last time Ant's co-hosted me. G, over to you.
Well, the travel thing is interesting, isn't it? Because I think that travel is very personal, isn't it? It's what commitment you're prepared to make, and when you risk the issue of being outdoors. It's a long way to go. Huge disappointment when when the piss comes. And yeah, that's tough. I think on balance, since I've been doing it, I've probably had more dry days than wet, which is great. It is a huge commitment. Most of the events would involve traveling on a Friday morning and getting back very late on a Sunday night. Pitman is an issue. We're constantly beholden to people who are, so generous with their time. It's ridiculous. And these are invariably racers who would be happy to come and watch you race for 3 days and to give their time to watch you race invariably badly for 3 days.
Couldn't pay me enough.
And they do it for the love of it, which is fantastic. So yeah, bar for them, we wouldn't be able to do it. And there's a number of them who have helped me over the last couple of years. Obviously, shout out to Morgan and Patrick and to David, who helps as much as he can, whilst also trying to race, which is super difficult. And I guess cost is all relative. So you should, looking back at this now, the amount of stuff that is sold used, which is still usable, and the value. I mean, you can get so much kit now used at such a low price, because I'm sure Stu will come on to the fact that there's only 4.5 people doing it. So once they stop doing it, the kit, they can't get rid of the kit. There's so much stuff available, and I think the barrier, it's I think it's wrongly perceived. I think you can get into it. I think the other elements are more valid. I think the pitman, the travel, and the risk of not racing because of weather, adverse weather, is a bigger issue in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with the value side. You can pick up a lot of kit for very little. If you want to just slam an engine in a car and go around and have some fun and smell of two-stroke but which is all part of it, right? I mean,
part of the pinnacle of
RC racing. Yeah. He's not going to mention that at all. Ever.
I'm getting that T-shirt made up tomorrow. I guarantee it.
Absolutely throw me under a bus there, and I absolutely hate you for that. But no, on the serious point, I think people can get that 8th scale experience, which it is. I mean, the thing coming, hooning down the Brooklyn Straight, launching itself into the farmer's field. It is an experience that you won't get with any other class, will it? Will you? I mean, you really won't. And you can get that for best part of probably 400 or 500 quid of a car and an engine, and it probably won't win much in an A final, but it will definitely be competitive through the rest of the field. So you can get a really nice experience. If you want to be competitive, I think that's when the open wallet surgery becomes a bit more. But that's only really your A final, right? I wouldn't have thought that you couldn't be competitive in a B final with something that's been used for a season from someone. So it is, but it's definitely, the senses are on overload, right? With the revving of the engines and the speed that they go and the size of them as well and what they look like. It's a overwhelming class.
It's for me. It was. I had some affinity with motorbikes as a kid, so I was into two-strokes and I still am. So when I saw that, I had that sensory sort of experience that I have with motor racing and motorbikes. So there was an immediate attraction for me. So it was like a combination of best of both worlds, RC with a smoking engine. There's nothing better in my opinion. So, it had me. As soon as I saw the car, it had me completely. But the one thing I would say is that I think an experienced RC racer would find it much easier to go into 8th than I did because, massively inexperienced in RC in general. But the amount of information that you need to take on through engine tuning, through clutch building, through not so much car setup, but car building and making sure, accuracy of build is on point. It's tough, and it's a very expensive mistake to make when you don't build it correctly, or and I see this happen when I see other people coming in, even experienced RC individuals coming in, revving the tits of an engine when it's stone cold, making these basic mistakes that I've made myself, not so much in RC, but when I was a kid with my bikes. So I guess I've got that affinity to how to treat mechanical things pretty well. So I've done okay from that point of view, but just general inexperience of RC driving is where I've struggled. So yeah, going from your GT12 to your 12 scale and then leaping into that was a massive jump for me. But again, I've loved it. I have loved it.
Where do you think you go from here with it, G? Do you
retirement probably? Because I'm not getting any better, let's face it. And the clock's against me, isn't it? Come on.
Well, I mean, and your eyes are going as well, right?
Yeah.
But do you see yourself continuing down that path with 8 scale seasons to come, or do you think it's got a slight shelf life?
No, I wouldn't say it has a shelf life. I think the core is there, but with any of the RC classes, you need to have new individuals coming into it, either from other classes or from outside RC in general. But that's a bigger issue, isn't it? Investment-wise in the UK, Halifax are an example of a track that's had great investment recently, and it has attracted a lot of interest because of that. Brooklands, they're doing some work there, getting cameras at the track. They need that type of exposure, and I think it will attract more people, ultimately, either from inside the sport or from outside. But they need that investment and media exposure.
I think it's just a huge undertaking, but a huge undertaking.
Answer the question there.
What's that?
Whether I'm in it for the long term.
Yeah, you're a politician, aren't you? You're very corporate. You're very corporate.
No. Genuinely, I think it's all down to that, isn't it? In that I'm beholden to having a pitman that I can rely, or people that I can rely on. So I only race when other people give up their time.
Yeah. Would you ever put yourself forward for a bit of pit manning? I
have. I've done it.
Have you?
Yeah, I did some pit work for Lee Palmer at Brookland. One meeting.
I bet you were busy.
Yeah, actually, I was a little bit disappointed because when it came to the final, Patrick actually took over from me. So I was a little bit disappointed to not be there for the final. But what you said, G, about people who are racers giving up their time to watch someone else race is like I really liked it. There's being part of something, and I never really understood it before. When I used to race full size cars and had like hangers on who were given a job, like someone was in charge of the tyre pressure gauge or whatever, and I never really realised that it was very rewarding for them. And but so I can see why people do it, and I don't think it's so much out of the kindness of their heart. I think it's a different experience that people are after, which actually doesn't cost anything other than a bit of travel and a bed for the night.
Yeah, and it must be a good experience. It must be, because I mean, Morgan does it for you. Ollie's done it as well, isn't he? G, they love the hobby, don't they? And as you rightly say, and it's a totally different form of the RC experience. I mean, it wouldn't cross the fucking street to pitman for you, G, but I mean, I'm sure.
I think I don't recall ever asking you, actually.
No. But no, and that to me is quite a hurdle, isn't it? I mean, the having the pitman. I mean, we've spoken about it before. Patrick absolutely loves it, doesn't he? He loves, or has loved, being part of a team. That's what he does for a living, isn't it? And,
exactly. He lives and breathes it. So, and I think maybe he doesn't get enough positive commentary or comments about the time he gives. But, and again, it's not just Patrick. It's for me personally, it's about all of the other pit people, whether they're family members or not. You know, there's a massive debt of gratitude that we owe to all of those people.
Yeah. So moving into the winter, obviously you're not going to be doing 8 scale. They've got the last one coming up this weekend, which is at Cotswolds.
It is.
Weather's looking decent, isn't it?
I haven't looked actually.
Yeah.
Superstition kicking in there.
So I mean, I looked at the sheet, and I think I counted up close to 45 people, which is a decent turnout with electric as well. So that's probably one of the bigger events of the calendar, and that's probably down to more the track as much as anything. Would you say?
Yeah, there might be 46 now because I actually forgot to enter, but.
Interesting.
Yeah. But let's not dwell on that. I'm in anyway. I'm in.
Okay.
Good entry.
But Cotswolds is a particularly popular track. You've raced there, haven't you, at Cotswolds?
I haven't. No,
Oh.
I don't think I have.
Oh, okay. But Cotswolds is supposed to be a really good track, isn't it? I've not been there either.
Very well looked after track. Again, they did a lot of work over lockdown, and I think pre-lockdown they've done work as well. It's run very securely there. They've got a good, strong membership and a lot of willing volunteers again on the club side. And so, yeah, great track, and just a little bit different to the norm. Very good.
So if you're around the Cotswolds area and you want to catch in a bit of the pinnacle of RC racing, as fucking ant, you can watch G crash his 8 scale down the straight at least once over the weekend. But no, he won't do that. You're gonna stick it in the A. I've got good vibes on the back of your carpet clash experience. I've got good vibes that you're gonna have a solid weekend. Yeah, I do. Every time I go buggy racing and then I stick a 12 scale down, I go better. Buggy racing is really difficult. You take out the jumps and you stick a car on the floor that sticks to the floor. It's a much easier experience. You only have to look at the Euros when the buggy guys turn up and they sort of sweep the floor with the on-road guys.
Yeah, I think I was pretty honest with you that the playing with the buggy side. I bought an extra a couple of years ago, and I sort of hadn't taken it seriously because I realised that actually A, it was quite difficult, but B, there's so much. You used to talk about windows on setup. It's one level above, I think, most of the other classes I've experienced. So I think if I'm going to do it over the winter, I'll give it 100%. I won't have probably any other classes to distract me. So hopefully I'll come out the other end knowing a little bit more about the buggy and hopefully won't repeat my e-final experience.
Do you ever think back to the GT12 and running that?
No, not really, because I think maybe I do at Maritime, at the club level I do. Yeah, absolutely, because that's where I cut my teeth with. That's where Ant pulled a knife on me. I don't really ever remember that, Ant. Yeah. I sideswiped you into the suite and you pulled a knife on me. So
there's a lot.
Your recollection might be different to mine, but I mean, I certainly.
It was definitely a knife. It was definitely a knife.
I certainly explained that I will be removing your spleen if you.
You do remember it.
I do, yeah.
Oh dear.
I have massively fond memories about the Thursday nights and struggling with my 8 scale bag up those stairs. Amazing track, brilliant people I met there, good times, and great times, and I'm very glad that I had that experience and sad that the track was taken away from us.
Yeah, that was those Thursday nights. I mean, at the start, I think I'd been doing GT12 for about a year before you, and then you came along and we'd meet after work, and you'd be hound from the office, and I'd pack up what I was doing, and we'd meet, and we're like a couple of children, meet for coffee early and get ready and open up and have some practice and then race, and then on the way home eat 3 million McNuggets, and
comfort eating.
Yeah, comfort eating. Made the C final again, and there was some decent, from my record, there was like decent chunk of people there on a Thursday night, wasn't there? And that was such a great.
Some things stick in your memory, don't they? And I think I talked to you about this recently. The one thing I remember about that, other than the puddle at the end of the straight, was when I think I was the first at the club to turn up with an Atom.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, I built this Atom, obviously not having a clue what I was doing. I sneaked up to Patrick's place in Milton Keynes on the Tuesday night, I think it was, without telling anybody, because I wanted a sneaky little bit of practice with this Atom. And it's probably an hour and a half rush hour for me to get there. And obviously, lovely little track, but tiny frigging track. Okay, the smallest track you've ever seen. And I love a bit of a trigger finger. So I gave it in warm up full beans. Broke the car on the second lap. And obviously it was fresh out the box, no spares. So I didn't actually make heat one. I only made 2 laps in the warm up, packed up left. That's the first time I ever met Patrick.
Amazing.
So anyway, that we bring us on Thursday. MB Model speed delivery for the Thursday morning. Got it, fixed the car, met up with Stu down there, and I will never ever forget. I got a round of applause for getting the car around. I think, and I did. I even think it was 21 laps. I'd never ever done that before, and I got a round of applause at the end of the night. Those things are just, they're silly little things, but they stay with you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Tony Broad. I was watching and he was marshalling, and he goes, "Oh, that don't go half bad, that Atom, does it?" And I remember that, and I remember the round of applause. Yeah, I mean I didn't clap, but
no. I do recall you bought one about 3 weeks later.
100%. What are your maritime recollections, Ant?
The one that really sticks in my head is actually being sent home early because it was snowing.
Oh, don't!
It's like, what? I've driven all this way and I've been sent home early, and I actually went to a disused or an empty industrial estate in the snow and just drifted all night. But
Subaru,
yeah. But yeah, just in general, the whole thing, it was kind of like, I went to West Kent, I went to Cape Fern, and that was the first time I had a pan car, was Maritime, and I bought it because I bought it off of you, didn't I, Stu? Or no, off of Mr. Knight's, and I went to pick it up at Maritime, the car that I bought off him, Zen, and and then I ended up sitting up to your end of the table with you guys, and you called me a cunt for using those fucking Allen keys, like the little individual Allen keys you get in a thing. He goes, "I only cunts use those." I'd only met you that night, and Nigel said, "Oh no, don't be like that. It's all right." And Nigel was like really nice to me, and you were really horrible. And G didn't like me.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like you. Just wanted to keep my distance because I wasn't really sure of what chemical you'd slip that night.
But yeah. Top times, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an acquired taste. We all know that. There were so many moments of the Maritime experience, weren't there? I mean, Ian was a as we all are, had his foibles and the Munns and Gareth Hobson and Sav. I mean, I always remember Sav shouting across the racetrack with G's car in his hand and all of his electrics hanging out. And as G just said, "G, your shit's hanging out," and it's just funny. There's so many funny. Yeah, wheel off. That's where wheel off came from.
The calls of wheel off.
Scream wheel off. I don't care where I am. I will always scream.
I'll let you know. I shouted that out at the top of my voice in Monaco. Of the 40 plus euros in the 12, because it was 8 scale, 10 scale. Full chat down the straight, wheel flew off. I've given it in front of the French, the Italians were there. I've given it massive wheel off. The looks, I tell you.
Mate, I feel a wheel off T-shirt coming on. I'm going to design it. Right.
Yeah, with the Onroad. And
what on the background.
and the thing is, what gets me is when you shout wheel off, you go, oh fucking hell, nobody's gonna like that. But it's like, well, it's a toy. Your wheels just come off, mate. You know, it's like it just needs to be shouted. So if you're listening to this podcast and you see a wheel come off, and you don't shout. You don't shout fucking wheel off, you are no friend of mine. Let me tell you.
You are doing it wrong. If you scream it at the top of your voice.
Can I also, just mention, obviously you reminded me about Maritime. That's where I first met Neil Cochrane, and he was massively helpful and influential for me moving from 8-scale electric into nitro. So big shout out to Neil for all the help he gave me.
Yeah. Neil was big with his GT12. He was very good with his GT12, wasn't he? And he came along and so it was sat on his table on his own and did his thing, and good driver. And who did he race closely with? Because he was like the Steve Moore. That's it. Steve Moore was there, wasn't he? He was he was like one of the best drivers there, and Neil Cochrane. And there was other. Of course, you got Adam, who is with Will Speed. Adam, I'm going to say Hunter, but it's not Adam Hunter. It's Adam. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can picture him.
Yeah. Sorry, Adam, if we can't remember your surname, but he was a nice chap. He always ran. Greg Parmenter, he was there as well. And there's do you remember, G, when we turned up and people were truing their tyres and we were just taking them straight out the box? Yeah, we were just taking them straight out the box and whacking them on the top of the car. It looked like monster trucks. And we said, oh man, they must be really good, truing tyres and stuff. And then you turned up and you bought yourself a body shell from a guy called what was his surname? Robin someone?
No, Rowan, ROIN shells.
Do you remember?
I actually coaxed him out of retirement for him to do me a shell.
And this shell was just the best looking. It was an Ascari shell.
Oh my god!
And if you go on his site, it will definitely be on there because it was the best looking shell. And mounting a body shell now for G is hard. So you can imagine what it was like back then. It was hard for us all. But of course, it came painted, and he went about the wheel arches with a butter knife.
No. It was the body shell hold first. And do you know how I actually solved the issue? Obviously, trying to get posts and you can't see the post. So I figured out if I stuck a dab of peanut butter on the top of the post, it stuck to the underneath of the shell. So it was a perfect solution. But the arches were just.
Honestly.
Peanut butter. Like of all the things that you could choose, like a bit of engineer's blue or some black grease.
Well, it's what you have in the cupboard, isn't it?
He was in the kitchen while he was doing it. The kids had just had their breakfast.
And to make it even harder, it was crunchy, not smooth. It was really quite difficult.
Oh, gee.
Oh, fucking genius. Oh, genius. The kids were there, they were laying it on their toast. So I thought, fuck it, that'll do.
That'll do. Ping, light bulb moment, brilliant.
But I remember the back left arch was almost from the back of the front door to the back of the splitter.
Do you know how long it lasted? I think it lasted the evening.
And they weren't cheap either.
No,
I mean,
no.
They were like 65 notes or something.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it was yeah.
Yeah, wasn't cheap. It
I've
wasn't
still got
cheap.
mine. First GT12 shell.
Have you?
It was. I think you might have hydro dipped it. Carl.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I've got that. I've got my shells from the Worlds as well. GT12 Worlds. They're up on the shelf.
Are they?
Yeah.
Under the pair of pants that are up there.
There's no pants on that shelf, you can see.
Big box of Johnny's.
Yeah, there's been some great moments. There have been some great moments in the whole Maritime. I mean, dashing down to McDonald's afterwards and licking our wounds and then going back. But what I always remember is just how I just spent the whole journey home laughing my head off. I couldn't.
With the window open because your arse is so bad.
That is true. I did have flatulence quite bad. It was the nuggets.
Yeah.
It was the nuggets that
we really 36 of them. Oh, by the way, is this when you put this out? Is this just audio? Is it?
Yeah, it's just audio, G.
Yeah,
and it's
such a mess.
It's uncut as well, so we're not going to clip that out. That's going to stay in. So the amateur in G doesn't realise that this is showbiz, darling.
Oh, I know.
Well, listen, G, it's been fantastic having you on the show.
Was I better than Tony Wade?
We'll leave you to decide. We should make that in the comments below. Who was the better guest, Tony Wade or G?
I love all my children equally.
Yeah. G, this is a moment in the show when we give every guest the opportunity to thank who they want to thank along the way. I know you've thanked Neil Cochrane and people. Obviously,
I gotta say thank you to you, which feels very strange.
You're welcome, G.
Because I normally blame you for most things, but thank you for introducing me. Thank you to David and anybody else around the 8-scale side of things that helps me either helps me mop my tears up or pick my bits of my car up. Thank you to the person who threw a bucket of sand all over my 8-scale car last year when it caught fire. Obviously, thank you to all the pitmen and people for helping me and anybody else that knows me and has helped me in the past. Thank you very much.
Well, G, you're a credit to the sport. Honestly, I have had so many good times with you, and I'm so pleased that you're my friend and I get to share these great experiences with you.
Nicest thing you've ever said.
Well, mark it on this momentous occasion, and it'll be online forever. G, look after yourself. Have a great weekend at the Cotswold meet, and stick it in the A final for all of us.
Yes. Good to see you, Anne.
Yeah, you too, G. See you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Take it easy.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Well, that was a very nice interview with Mr. Wade and Mr. Williams.
Yeah, brilliant.
G's a special guy. He's got a lot of time for everyone and very corporate. Not my fucking thing, but so we've had some good chats this week. With you've been getting into a different form of RC. I think that's absolutely worth a discussion. So what's been going on?
Well, I've bought a drift chassis and I am building a drift car. A couple of guys who I know from buggying, Rich and Keith, have both been putting pictures up on Instagram of their ridiculously detailed drift cars, and Kent RC Warehouse is a permanent venue over in Sittingbourne. They've got the drift set up with all the houses and the diorama and everything. And yeah, after we talked about wanting to be entertained and not governed, and just watching their stuff and just people just having fun, not racing, just turning up and trying to drive around in a train and everyone helping each other to achieve greatness as a group, just appealed to me. So I got some money for my birthday and spunked it on a on a drift car, an MST RMX 2.0.
And you have been sending me links to websites and all sorts, which, let me tell you, I've done my accountancy, and my accountant no good at all, because I've spent about £2,500 so far. I haven't actually, virtually I've spent £2,500, but there is some seriously nice bits of kit, and I think the scale element is really quite interesting.
Yeah.
And reading up a little bit on it, there is clearly, unbeknown to me, this whole gyro and power to front wheel and rear wheel balance is really quite important, isn't it?
Yeah. So but originally, when I wanted to do drifting, you had 4-wheel drive cars and you had 2-wheel drive conversions. So everything was basically a touring car or a buggy, or a touring car that was messed about with. And those things were fast. They were drifting at like mega speeds. And yeah, it's evolved a lot. And now no one uses 4-wheel drive at all. They're all purpose-built 2-wheel drive cars. The one that I've got, you can put the motor in a high position, which is sitting like, it's the opposite of what you would do in a touring car. The thing is sitting like, I don't know, 10 centimeters off the chassis for like massive weight transfer. And yeah, you have to run a gyro. Well, yeah, everyone runs a gyro pretty much. Which, if you don't run a gyro, it's impossible. And if you do run a gyro, it's merely really, really difficult.
And when you watch these guys, going side by side around a track, I just can't get my head around how difficult that must be.
Yeah, I can't either, to be honest. When you think about real cars, that kind of side by side, door handle to door handle, I can kind of appreciate, because I've done it. I've been in close proximity to other cars, and you're all right. But yeah, it's one level. When you think about racing 12 scale or whatever, and the accidents that happen, when you flinch when you're getting overtaken and things like that. Sorry, Mark Stiles. But it is a lot slower. But the thing that the gyro, I've been reading up on it. There's a guy who's trying to go gyroless again. He thinks that the whole thing's gone wrong, and the reason that everyone has to use a gyro is because of the way that the cars have been set up. So he's trying to promote gyroless drift, but I think he's in a minority of one. But yeah, what the gyros have allowed you to do is really elevate the things that you're doing. So it's obviously too easy for some people, because they're doing 360s into corners and things like that now, which 10 block would do in real life, but your average everyday drifter isn't doing. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I've massively enjoyed building the kit. It's all plastic, but it's like super high quality plastic. The instructions are spot on. The guys at Slide Dynamics, which is at Kent RC Warehouse, couldn't have been more helpful. It was just total no nonsense, showing me all the stuff they had. Like, this gyro's 120 quid. It really is the best thing that you can buy, but this 25 quid one will do, to get you started. But he basically said you'll end up with this 120 quid one at some point.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm massively excited. So the big thing for me is like the casualness of it. I can go when I want. Those guys go on a Saturday, sometimes on a Thursday. I can go to karate on Saturday, drive home via Sittingbourne, go and do some skids, and then go home. It's like, if I want to be there, I can go. If I don't have to.
Yeah. And I've said to you that I'm just googling as we speak how far Sittingbourne is away from me. It's a 50-minute drive, which is no smaller distance than I used to drive to to Maritime, so it's close by. I like that the permanent track. I love the relaxed, casual nature about it. There's no sort of egos involved, right? It's just having a go and seeing if you can get better at it. So and as I say, I love the scale nature of it all. I think that's really cool. I didn't realise that I was under the impression that it was 4-wheel drive.
All 2-wheel drive. No.
They were all 2-wheel drive, right? Okay. So and obviously there's an array of kits of starting at 100 quid going all the way up to silly amounts, right?
Oh yeah. So the Secura kit is like 90 quid. I think mine was like 165 in the sale, and then there's kits that are £1,000 upwards.
Yeah. And are you getting anything more for that at 1,000 quid?
You get so mine, like I say, mine is all plastic including the chassis. The next step up for like 300 is carbon chassis, and then all the aluminium bits. If you look at Yokomo's pricing, I think like their top kit is like 580 or something like that, which saves you about 30% over upgrading from the base carbon fiber kit.
Right.
So it's actually well priced. And you read things like I said about the gyro. Everyone is saying, "Oh, you'll end up buying all those bits anyway." I'm not so sure, but we shall see. I mean, I told you my nephew is doing the drifting as well, and I see he's got the carbon fiber chassis and carbon fiber top decks and everything. So there's obviously money to be spent.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to listening to the experience when you get it built up and heading down there. When do you think that's going to happen?
I don't know. I've got a couple of bits to buy. Maybe next weekend.
Okay. All right. That's exciting. And of course, you've been hitting a bit of VRC as well, which has been an interesting journey, because we spoke about this getting back into racing and people perhaps fearing that their thumbs might not be the thumbs they left their racing before the world went mad, might not be as good, and they're sort of coming back and thinking that they're going to be about 4 or 5 finals back of where they were. What's your experience been?
So I loaded VRC up. So couldn't really remember which model I'd saved and all of this, but I just pulled up one of the tracks. Oh, it was Luxembourg and mod touring car, which I love doing on VRC because it saves me the smashed bits and pieces at the end of the Brooklyn Straight. So I started doing that, rapidly got into it, and within like 9 laps I was 2 tenths off my PB lap. Bearing in mind that I have done thousands and thousands of laps in VRC, it's not just like I'd only played it for 10 minutes once. It was like I've spent hours and hours, hundreds of hours on it. And then I think 14 or 19 laps, I'd gone 2 tenths quicker than my PB. So that's basically 20 minutes of reacclimatization, and I was already better than I was when I stopped racing a year ago or 18 months ago. Yeah.
And we did debate that, didn't we? I mean, I sort of intimated that I feel that you could get back up to speed pretty quickly. I think that's quite very impressive that you've been able to get up to speed and move further down the road. I mean, I wonder why that might be, other than, have you got some thoughts on it?
Well, I know. I'd be surprised if it wasn't because of what I've been doing during lockdown. So VRC, and a lot of people are going to say this anyway, so I might as well just say it for them. VRC is a computer game, and it isn't real life. Yeah. So what I have been doing is playing a lot of computer games. And I've never really been into computer games before. I don't know if we've talked about it on the show. On previous
No, we haven't. No.
But basically, I've been playing competitive esport games, first-person shooters, and have been, 3,000 hours of computer gaming in the last 2 years, including a lot of deliberate practice, eye training, aim training, that sort of thing. And I think it's just translated. I absolutely believe that I can go much, much faster than I did in that first little session that I did.
And do you think that's going to translate if you were to pick up your 12 scale and take it out onto the track?
Yeah, so I believe that vision is everything. Like, I think how you look at stuff is like massively important in all sports, right? You look at Bob Rotella was talking about looking at your target with soft focus and things like that. And I think that being able to unlock certain things, like how you look at things, is big. When I was playing VRC before, I noticed that if I focused on the rotation of the car, like the direction the car was pointing in, I would instantly go faster. Like if I did that as a conscious act. But when I went and tried that in real life, it didn't work. So I'm not entirely sure this will translate fully, but I think that, my reflexes are definitely better. My reaction times are definitely better. And I guess there is improved spatial awareness or whatever that might translate. You'd hope it would.
Yeah.
Because the fast guys on VRC are fast in real life.
Yeah. It's not like Alex goes on to VRC and Alex Hagberg and he's a spanner, and the same with Bruno Coelho. He's quick on VRC. So as you say, it definitely translates. I think there is definitely that the perspective and how you view stuff is huge. When I was at the carpet clash at the weekend, I had like my best weekend of a decent size buggy meet, and in the final I was definitely trying to focus less on my car and think less about driving, which we've talked about before, and I thought about my wife and the horse and what I was actually racing, and you've got to do what works for you, right? I mean, ultimately some people are going to, you look at X-ray driver, touring car, wins nationals, Ollie Jeffries. You look at him and he goes around a couple of laps and you think he's on the show, and he didn't necessarily say that he does anything conscious other than just look at the track. Some people that would be too intense, some people it wouldn't. You focus on the rotation of the car, didn't work, might work for someone else, and that's the thing, isn't it? But I think if your mindset is that you're willing to try things and not just turn up and just run, you've got an opportunity to improve. And VRC and your experience with the game training has improved your VRC. You'd like to think that it might change the way you handle and perceive the drift car and the 12 scale and the buggy when you hit the track.
Yeah.
But if you don't try it and you don't think about it, you never know. So
no, exactly.
It can only, but I think that goes hand in hand with the competitiveness that you are, that I am, of wanting to get better. I don't think that is necessarily shared by many people.
No,
I don't know. They want to go faster, but they don't necessarily go beyond sticking it on the track and putting a setup on it. That they just want to go faster, but I think that sort of just sits where it as far as it goes, shall we say?
Yeah. We're a certain type of person. Because the only reason I bought a buggy was to get better at 12 scale.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. Yeah.
Because there was a track that I could visit in my lunchtime and run laps. And was getting stick time, and I didn't care about buggies. I didn't want to race buggies. I didn't want to go there on a race meeting. I wanted to go there when there's no one there and just smash it about. So we're definitely a certain kind of person. And
buggies has definitely taken a hold of me more than 12 scale, and we've spoken about it. Almost to the point of feeling like 12 scale, maybe after this winter I'm kind of done with it. I might depending how it feels and because the buggy, the amount of track time that you get the practice, you get the 4 rounds, you get the 3 finals, and that's what we did with the podcast race series, and talking to the fellas, turning up and only getting 4 rounds and a final. A single final, it feels like a damp squid at the end of whereas you don't get that with buggy. At the weekend with Carpet Clash, it was so good to have 3 runs being in an A final. You didn't get it.
Did you make the A finals too?
I may have done. But whatever final you're in, it's just nice to have 3 bites of the cherry, racing against whoever's in your final, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that is pretty cool. So plans to do the nationals, the 12 scale nationals, the other side of Christmas, perhaps?
No plans to.
No plans to.
Yeah, just Eastbourne is kind of like the distance for me.
Yeah.
Everywhere is an hour from here. To get out of where I live is an hour. So Eastbourne's an hour and a half. Paul's 3 hours. Everywhere's a long way away.
Yeah. And Stu Barber's the same. I think he's packed 12 scale in. He's in the same boat. It just doesn't want to travel that length of time, and it's the same for the guys up north. They don't like travelling down to Eastbourne. I don't think they would do, if we had 3 nationals down here. I don't think they would entertain it coming south as much as us going up north, because we're just used to it, sort of the nationals being a bit more northerly bound, aren't we? For whatever reason, that's all good. And so you think that the drifting is going to be something that's going to develop? Do you feel, because when you get a new kit, you kind of get a bit of an excitement, don't you? Like we're building it and kind of sucks you in. Like I just got a new wheel speed, and that is just like, oh my God, this thing is gorgeous, and it looks great, and it drives great, and it sucks you in. The drifting, I can, with the stuff that you can buy for it, with all the bolt-on wheels and the lights and the fairings and the shells, and it's a bit of a geek moment, right?
The modelling aspect really appeals, and just because I like Japanese cars, I like drift cars in general, and being able to build the car that I want in real life, that's a massively appealing thing, right? And the guys, like the links I was sending you earlier, these cars are so detailed. They look real. I sent one to my wife, and she went, "Oh, that's nice. Is it real?" She thought it was a full scale car. As for the actual driving and doing it, I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to enjoy it that much, but I'm going to give it a go. And it's not a massive outlay if I don't enjoy it. I can just. But I'll definitely build at least, more than one body. Even if I don't go there on the regular, I'll definitely want to get involved with the modelling. It's because I like the little 1/24 scale kits as well. I enjoy building those and tinkering with that. It's just good to keep your mind involved with something and something to research and spend a bit of time on and a bit of money on. It's all good.
Because the Airfix fraternity, which was and probably still is, I don't know, but the kits out there and Lego and Technic Lego and that sort of stuff, once you've built an Airfix model, you stick it on the side and you look at it, don't you? We forget that there is a big part of a hobby in the actual building and the crafting, and I think being an addict of RC, I want to build it quickly to go and race it, and so sometimes the actual art or the enjoyment of the building process isn't necessarily embraced to the level an Airfixer would embrace it, right?
True. So I really enjoy modelling in general, but you don't have a choice when it comes to racing, right? So knowing that you raced on Sunday and then you've got to go to a national on the Friday and you're at work and you've got to rebuild 2 12 scale cars, you have to, because otherwise they're not going to work. That is when it's like, okay, I don't really enjoy modelling that much, because I've got to do it. But building a drift body once, or maybe not even once. Maybe you'll buy a new front bumper for it, or a new exhaust pipe, or some LEDs or whatever. It evolves, and it's your choice. I think it's just another thread of the whole freedom thing, right? I want to just do what I want to do that suits me. That's because I've spent too long, 40 odd years, doing what other people have told me to do.
Yeah, and that I had so many messages on the back of the last podcast about I don't want to be governed, I want to be entertained. There is that I think it's resonated with so many people, and since the world went crazy, I think the time to reflect, and I think you're right that the modelling side of it is seen as a bit old hat, isn't it? Because it's a little bit slow paced. The J.R. Hartley of this world sitting down reading his book with the sunshine coming in, it's kind of a bit too slow. That it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not having people jumping around and dancing and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit slow paced, and I think that modelling is a definite sitting in your office, taking a moment, slowing it all down, and just